most useful thing that I feel I brought out of the workshops was the camaraderie that was built between the academic teachers and the arts resource teachers, as well as a sense of community that we built with the other schools in our district. We were able to share ideas, we were able to focus on different aspects of the academics as well as the arts, and I think a lot of fear was taken away from academic teachers using the arts, and the other way around as well. Arts teachers all of a sudden going, oh, I have to teach math and science? That's not my strong suit. And I believe that we saw that it's possible to make a difference, and we know that children learn differently, and we have to be able to teach them all in a manner that they can learn whatever their learning style is.
To bring in top-notch art professionals to work with your people in the schools for theater.
Over the last 2 years, while I've participated in the integrated arts workshops, I've really enjoyed getting a lot more tools in the teacher's toolbox. Typically, a teacher's education does not include a lot of background in the arts, and this has given me the opportunity to see how it can be used in the classroom, and then the opportunity to practice using it before I brought it into my classroom. So that hands-on has really gone a long way. You learn it by doing it, not by just reading about it.
Let me see your superhero! What's that you say? I say, ooh, ha, 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 ooh.
I found the most valuable the fact that all of the workshops you were participating in the content that you were going to be teaching. You were participating in the methods that you would be using, and you got to see them also on real classes. So it was something that you were heavily involved in and could take immediately back to your classrooms. It wasn't something you had to spend a lot of time learning on your own. It was immediate, you could take it right back to your rooms, and it became such an important part of your lessons because you just were so interested. It was phenomenal.
It's a good monologue, different from just a monologue that's memorized.
It was nice to see how other teachers had used the techniques that we had learned, and also when we were with Amber Amerson, how she had the classes, and she had her classes show us some things that they were doing and how she uses those methods. It just made it a lot more real to us. Instead of the method being written on a paper, we could see exactly how it's supposed to be utilized and what the possible outcome could be.
At Pine Forest this year, we are working on the continued learning cycle, and each classroom teacher has, or grade level, has one of the arts specialists working with them. In kindergarten, I'm the dance teacher, and I am working with them on their science unit, and we are teaching push and pull, so that the children I'm introducing the concept of push and pull in dance class, and I'm using not only the movement, but I'm using certain props such as scarves and ropes and small little cush balls that we can play and push and pull, and we can incorporate movement with that. Then the kindergarten teachers are going to then continue that and model the lesson by pushing and pulling with words and with objects in the classroom, and each grade level has a different art specialist.
You could almost even say the people are hardly even needed to get to, I mean, it's that strong symbolically, the use of color. And I think you were the first one I saw do it.
I think the one thing that comes to mind the strongest is having learned the Feldman approach, which was something that was showed to us at the Cummer Museum, where you take any piece of art and you guide the students in viewing the art, describing what's going on in the art, interpreting the art. From there, I've used that approach to springboard writing or small moment writing pieces, and their writing has really taken off using a lot of good details because we've called their attention to the details. They're able to write it. I've used it in science when we're doing 5 senses, and actually the Feldman approach has allowed me to link science and writing together because we can look at it with our 5 senses and then write about it at writing time. I've used the Feldman approach for studying geometry and math, and then we could turn around after we've looked at it. I think the painting I used last year was from Paul Klee. It was Image of a Man or Portrait of a Man, and then from there they were able to go back and create their own portraits using the shapes, and then they could write about the shapes that they used and how they used them. So we've really been able to get deeper into what we're teaching simply by using this approach.
And the first thing that I thought of with the Feldman approach, with wanting to connect it to fractions, was these really beautiful pieces of artwork that are in circles. And a lot of times they have designs in them that you can see where the fractions are, where certain halves are. The design is repeated throughout these pieces of artwork. So I chose that one to get that observation piece in there, and we looked at them first from an artwork standpoint, just observing what we saw in the artwork, and then moving to the mathematical point of view. Where are the halves that you see? Where do you see repeating shapes or repeating lines, patterns, those kind of mathematical terms that come in with that.
I want you to look at your pieces like this for a second. So you have 4 pieces, right? Of course.
They were given a circle of their own, and they created a design. They did it in half, and then they figured out how to cut it into quarters and into eighths. And the whole time we talked about how things can be equivalent to each other as well. So when we went to go back and observe their own artwork, I had them trade halves with a partner. So just to make it have a little bit of a difference in their artwork and to have them really, really look at it to see what it might look like to them when they were done. Our math curriculum is so tied in with the arts anyways that we have here, and when we went to go do those lessons, I mean, they were able to remember that experience stuck in their minds. It stuck out, and they were really able to connect with it, and they remembered describing the pieces and adding them together. So I would say they definitely were able to pull from that lesson and really remember it as an experience.
There were 3 things that I found to be particularly helpful. When J.T. Nelson, the choreographer, teacher, dancer, came, and she had these fabulous ideas for doing body position to represent numbers. And that's one of the things that I always use with my kindergartners after that, because they had trouble counting, especially the dreaded 13s. They count 11, 12, 13, 13, 13, and they sort of lose track until they get to 20. So when they have these movements to do, sometimes we do like a lasso. So it would be 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way to 20. The second thing that I loved was Anne, I can't remember her last name, the music teacher, who mentioned that it doesn't matter how many people play the princess, because they're not going to notice that there are 7 other princesses on stage with them. And so whenever we would do programs, and we did lots of them, everybody got to choose who they wanted to be, and they got to be that part. And I think the thing that I probably did the most was the Amber theater games. My kids would quiver when I would come back from teacher school, and they'd want to know what new theater game I learned. And they loved Yeehaw the best. I kind of like machines, but they liked Yeehaw, so we did that.
What we do is Miss Amerson comes out. because of the travel time here, I start out the class and we do a few exercises. Miss Amerson is really good with the kids on getting them to role playing, a little bit of ad lib. She has a whole bunch of different games that help the kids with focus, with staying on what they're supposed to be doing. She's really good with the discipline aspect of it, showing them the disciplines of drama. Because of the transition from elementary school to middle school, she's there and she helps coach them a little bit on what they can expect from La Villa, because we are a continuity school. So we're trying to get them to, most of the students will be going to La Villa or their neighborhood schools. But for the arts, she's really instrumental in showing them what's going to be expected of them.
Any of those things, because you have to wait until next time.
We really strive to prepare our students to make a nice, easy transition into La Villa for whatever art form they'd like to go into. I really enjoyed all the tours that we get to take our students on to La Villa. That really helps the students get motivated, get excited to see their new school. Every year I bring my 4th and 5th graders over to La Villa for their fall show, and it's actually a lesson plan that I create. I bring my students over, then we come back and they critique the whole show, and they journal about the acting and where they could picture themselves on stage. We also bring our students, K through 5, we bring our students over for the dance concerts, for musical concerts sometimes, and for theater. So we are definitely connecting to both middle and high school. We need to keep the kids aware that these art forms are out there, and they do have the opportunity to go to a middle school and high school for this art.
The project that we've started at our school with the continued learning cycle has brought the academic teachers together with the arts resource teachers, number one. Number two, we're hoping that the test scores will improve, that all children will be reached and be able to learn, because different children learn in different ways. And by including the arts and the academics, we're able to reach all aspects of the child's learning capacity, through their mind, through their movement, and just by keeping their interest.
I was so inhibited, very inhibited, and it helped to loosen me up and actually began to embrace the arts, because I thought you had to be good at everything. I thought that you had to be perfect. But children don't care. And as I began to work, I began to realize that it was okay. Even when I made mistakes, it was still okay. I've been teaching kindergarten children that it's okay to take a risk. You don't have to be good or perfect at anything, but just try. So just yesterday, we were doing a lesson on the letter S. In this lesson, we decided that we would draw pictures and label them of all the things that began with S. So what happened was the children called out seal. I'm not an artist in any way. I took the risk of trying to draw the seal. The children began to laugh because it did not look like a seal at all. So one of my kindergarten students said to the class and to me, "It's okay that you take a risk. You need to try, but we need to support you in taking your risk." And I say, out of all the years, that was the most profound statement, because it freed me up to take other risks. And not only that, the children didn't laugh anymore, they also took risks.